This this video is for me, for like something for me to listen to when I need to pull myself back down to earth, um, or when I'm feeling hopeful or something like that. Remember that the job that you moved up to the state for when you were 19, you were fired on Christmas Eve to set an example for your supervisor's alcoholic nephew. A couple years later, I came back home to see my family and my dad at Christmas time. I caught a ride from my buddy, and he dropped me off at my house. It wasn't, that's where I lived. It was my house or whatever. And I knocked on the door and I said, "Merry Christmas." And they were all worried and immediately like shocked and worried, and what am I gonna do? And it's about 5 minutes before my brother said, "Thanks for ruining our Christmas." And my dad told me to leave. And there was a blizzard outside, like 4 feet of snow on the ground. And I lived on the outskirts of the suburbs, so I had 4 miles to walk to get to a payphone. Yeah, back then there were payphones. You would put a quarter in it, and you could call someone. So I walked to a 3.5, 4 miles with these little dress shoes on, these thin socks and dress pants, to a payphone, and called my buddy who dropped me off there, and he came and picked me up. And I got to spend Christmas with him and his family, feeling very, very awkward. And then a few years after that, my dad, I got to come back on, for holiday time. It was Thanksgiving, and my dad told me that I wasn't allowed to go to the family dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, and I didn't understand why. But I, played it cool, good sportsmanship, all that good stuff, and, I sat at home in my dad's house while he and the family went to Thanksgiving. By the way, I still don't know what I did to not be good enough for those people, or to do something wrong or something. There's a few years after that where my mom invited me down around the holiday time. And I didn't want to go. I didn't have the money, this, that, the other. But I ended up, going down. And I remember immediately, as soon as my mom saw my face, she was disappointed. And I could hear her soul say, "Oh." I didn't understand why, and it wasn't a very good holiday trip. I found out later that she was expecting the cop that was, who was pretending to be me. And she saw me, the real one, and she got disappointed. Same thing with Thanksgiving, my family. The cop who was pretending to be me ended up going there. And same kind of thing happened on Christmas. I went to see my dad. And I went through a whole lot of shit. I went to the homeless shelter, and then I went to therapy, and on that medicine, off that medicine, everything. It didn't work for me. Pot worked, but the antidepressant stuff never worked. I was homeless for a long time, living in a parking garage, and then in the woods. And I remember finally some people got together and got me housing, and some other people got together and I guess got me college money, and my family dropped stuff off, and that's when I saw the city and the county tell me that I wasn't good enough to be even me. Like, wow, dude, I wasn't good enough to be an employee. I wasn't good enough for Christmas. I wasn't good enough for Thanksgiving. I wasn't good enough for my mom. And then I wasn't good enough for my city. I don't know how I haven't opted out, or why I can't. Seems like that's what those gang-stalking bad people want. And seems like the cops keep doing some bullshit. So between the two, I haven't had a friend or talked to family or anything in years and years and years. And I kept hoping. I'm 49 now. There's no family, no friends. Figure even being an asshole, God would have given me at least a friend. I don't know what I did to get this kind of karma. I got no clue. And I got no clue why the cops won't do anything to help me. But anyway, just this is for myself. When I start feeling hopeful, or like things are gonna start going my way. Because it seems like they always seem like and start going my way right before some bullshit pulls the rug out from under me again. So yeah, Brian, remember,